valid charges and no valid warrants, I want you to know. This diabolical scheme by deception was facilitated by none other than California Administrative Judge Kenneth K. So. He's very notorious for this. And Alabama Judge Stephen Whitmire, California Judge Gregory Pollack, another notorious judge for legal kidnapping. Also, California Judge Eugenia Iribarne, she's the same. Also, California Judge Joseph Brannigan, and North Carolina Judge Elizabeth Traj. Miraculously, I still stand here before you 12 years later, still fighting to bring justice and accountability to these detestable and lawless perpetrators. But actually, folks, I've been in this fight. My case started 16 years ago. 12 years ago, my son disappeared, okay? Will you fight with me? Will you ask, where is Jonah Reef? Thank you. Government-sponsored judiciary kidnapping, prosecutorial misconduct, false accusations, malfeasance, and misfeasance, cover-up, and state federal conspiracy involving rings of quote-unquote bad actor officials complicit in lining their pockets through federal funds incentives such as Title 4D Family Court, Title 4E CPS, Title 4A Foster Care, and the tactics for hidden bonds and laundered money that goes through these courts. These are not courts of justice. They are all corporations, folks. Yes, CPS, aka Child Predator Services, is also a corporation and not a valid federal agency. It's a crown corporation of the City of London. I'm sure many are not aware of that. Family courts and children courts are quite literally an apparatus used to steal children. Rings and group homes where most children are molested, as well as foster care homes where children are trafficked, rehomed, and abused in vicious cycles, then end up going missing altogether. No one knows where to go. To keep their quote-unquote crimes upon the court going, they use quote-unquote false accusations, ensnaring good and innocent parents with unscrupulous methods by investigators and prosecutors, all while destroying children. It's full of RICO racketeering is what this is, folks, by these clown courts. The prosecutors are criminals in their actions against fit parents to quote unquote prove their case for the state and will not stop at nothing to prevail in court, I want you to know. The judges are complicit in facilitating courts of no due process, not allowing the defendants to put on their case. Let's all not forget the underworld law enforcement, shall we? Who are really just working for the corporations as brotherhood members of the corporate enforcers, quote unquote. They don't follow any constitutional law, but rather deliberately strip good parents of their civil liberties through crippling lawfare and lawlessness. These corrupt, quote-unquote, bad actor officials, along with CPS, violate the law to enforce the law because they are not common law courts of justice, is why. They are corporations running as businesses of which there are no laws to uphold inside of a corporation, folks. I bet that's an eye-opener, isn't it? During the first 100 days of this administration, there's been amazing things, I have to say, President Trump. I'm amazed. I want you to know. But what about the untold numbers of missing children? Any arrests with Human and Health Services Agency? Yes, because I want you to know that is who did the black market adoption of my child, who's involved with this black robe judiciary. Demand the prosecution of Alejandro Mayorkas and all those I just mentioned, please. Let's do that. Let's see that happen. Let's take action, folks. And I want to say again, where is Jonah Reef? If you agree the top priority should be for American children, not that the immigrant children aren't important, they are, then we must appoint a full-time anti-trafficking czar, like a Dottie Laster or someone like that who's taken down child rings for 20 years. And then I ask you again, where is Jonah Reef? Also, where are the Rivera children? Where are all the children who are taken the same way? We all need to ask and take action. Let's go find them. Let's get them back. We need to also expose medical kidnapping and demand the release of Izzy Rivera, along with the dismantling of CPS by shouting. It's a slogan, folks. Where is Jonah Reef? Where is Izzy Rivera? Where are all, again, the children taken by CPS the same way? This criminal organization. Demand justice also for the murder of Georgia Senator Nancy Schaefer and her husband by exposing CPS. Again, it's a slogan, folks. Where is Jonah Reef? If you have the guts and fortitude to confront SRA and what, quote unquote, they do secretly in the black robe societies, like what they did with the screwdriver to my son Jonah, then shout, where is Jonah Reef? Release the Rivera children and all those taken, again, the same way. If you want to see every detestable judge of injustice behind bars, then shout, where is Jonah Reef? And join American-made action and this new coalition now. Become a true protector of children who support the death penalty by firing squad. I know that sounds extreme, for convicted traffickers and pedophiles by shouting, where is Jonah Reef? By the way, they are enacting these laws to do so in Idaho right now. I thought that'd be a wake-up call. Public exposure is the light of day. This evil will be stopped in its tracks once we, the people, take action with American-made action. Jonah is the key and the linchpin to freeing a multitude of captive children that are in really high levels, folks. Believe Isaiah 61. For the love of God, stand firm to restore our republic. One nation under God, for which it is supposed to stand. I want you to know, this I pray in the name of Jesus Christ. And one more thing, I do not consent to contract with any of this black robe judiciary. And I want you to know, it's very, very important that I also come in agreement with Anne Maureen today in taking action. Let's all do the same thing. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you, Tammy. I'd like to bring up Ivan Raiklin right now. Ivan has been famously known around town and around the country as the Secretary of Retribution, an unofficial people's position, or I should say official people's position, unofficial otherwise, for those that like to make assumptions. Ivan Raiklin, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Before I start, is anybody in there? General Bondi. Hey, General Bondi, are you in there, ma'am? Or are you up the street over at the headquarters of Faux News as an anchor at Faux News? Some people pronounce Fox News. How about this? I'm not calling on anybody's removal or replacement yet, okay? But let me contextualize this. May 15th, last year, 2024, and before that, on January 1st of 2024, there was a thing called the Declaration of Military Accountability that me and my closest 80,000 plus friends, now probably millions, along with America Made Action, along with Department of Government Accountability, by the way, side note, I want it all. Accountability, justice, and my definition, according to the American Heritage definition of retribution, is punishment for bad behavior, unlawful behavior, right? That's justice, that's accountability. So, Pam Bondi, if you're over there at Faux News, you probably can't hear me. But if you're in your office here, you might be able to hear me. In my next few minutes, I want to talk about what is not happening here in this building, what is not happening over at the Congress, and what we are going to do, because guess what? We currently don't have leadership in the city other than in the White House. And that White House needs assistance. And a lot of folks are providing that assistance, thankfully. You see some here. You see others. Thankfully, Elon Musk is helping out. Thankfully, we have Tom Fitton helping out in the process. Mike Davis, even Laura Loomer is doing the vetting for our government because there are incompetent buffoons as well as deep state enemies in the system that are trying to maintain their foothold and stronghold amongst all the institutions, many of which need to be USAID'd, if you know what I mean. Remove and not replace. So let's start out with the Article 1 branch of government. This is breaking, so listen in closely as I pull out my note. So, Andrew Weissman, gentleman, which I would put in the treason category, that used to work in this building, that then later became the acting de facto Mueller investigation lead because his dementia patient-ridden boss, Robert Mueller, was in a comatose state. Andrew Weissman ran the illegal, unpredicated, unlawful spying campaign, operation, and cover-up of that spying investigation on Donald Trump, General Flynn, George Papadopoulos, Carter Page, and Paul Manafort. Guess where he works? And his firm. Anyone have an idea? Well, that's why you're waiting for me to say it, because you don't know. Most of you. The former general counsel for the U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson, who is now at the law firm Jenner and Block with Andrew Weissman, is a gal by the name of Ashley Callan. Let me say this again. Last week or so, Ashley Callan, Mr. Howes back there, this is breaking. Ashley Callan, the former general counsel for Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, is now working at the firm Jenner and Block with Andrew Weissman and all of the rest of the January 6th cover-up committee counsel at that firm. She has everything and all the influence and power to continue to observe and block Congressman Barry Loudermilk's attempt to expose the truth of January 6th. I have to say that again, Mike Johnson. I'm watching you because no one else is, and it's not only me, okay? There are millions out there that are watching. So Mike Johnson and his chair of House Administration Committee, Brian Stile, who is Paul Ryan's replacement over in Wisconsin's 1st Congressional District, on good authority, I've monitored things very closely over there. Those are the two Republicans that are involved at the highest levels to stop the January 6th fake surrection, Fedsurrection from being exposed. Is that going to slow us down? No. That's going to expedite their demise, okay? That's how I operate. That's our breaking news for the Article 1 branch of government, okay? But there are mechanisms and methods upon which we are going to increase and fill the void that our House needs to be doing, but they're not because they're all corrupted. And oh, by the way, I won't say in detail yet, but Jim Jordan, I am looking at all your stuff too, sir. It's not looking good. But I won't disclose it yet until I have full evidence to back it up, because I want to give him and his team an opportunity to provide the reasoning behind their decisions that haven't been disclosed publicly, obviously. All right, Article 2, branch of government. Let's get back to Scam Blondie. Oh, wait, I'm going to be diplomatic. Attorney General Pam Bondi, okay? I promised I'd be diplomatic. So my apologies. It slipped. Well, this is what you could do, ma'am. How about you make a statement first and foremost that you and the department wholeheartedly support the confirmation of Ed Martin down the street as the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia? Has she ever said anybody? Has she said anything in support? And we track this closely, General Bondi. We don't want you to be unsuccessful. We are here to motivate your courage and be maximally successful in line with the president's priorities, which are our priorities because we gave him the mandate for accountability, justice, and retribution. Okay? Number 2. Didn't you promise us the Epstein files? And now you're not going to give us a timeline on that? How about you spend a little less time supporting Paul Ryan's little news network over down the street at Faux News? Again, I have a speech impediment. Sometimes people tell me I mispronounce things. So bear with me. So anyway, Faux News. How about you get out of there? And you know what? Observe what Tulsi Gabbard is doing at the Director of National Intelligence Office. See what she's doing. There's some accountability to the maximum level of her authority, which is what? Pulling security clearances of the traitors. Walking them out of the building, to include one former Department of Defense senior official that was the one that signed the memo that pushed for the illegal DOD CCP-19 jab mandate. Other people call it the so-called COVID-19 vaccine mandate. She unlawfully, according to the Secretary of Defense Hegseth, Terry Aderam, was the one that wrote and signed the memo to force 8,700 people out of the military unlawfully. 80 to 100,000 of us left because we weren't going to participate in a medical experiment that resulted in DNA mutilation, that resulted in deaths to a count that would equate to many people considering it to be genocidal numbers. That lady was fired from the CIA and now is suing me for telling America, along with my closest, I don't know how many people are on Twitter? Millions of friends, that this lady, I need to be polite, should be convicted of the maximum punishment allowable under the law. Legally, morally, ethically. Here's how we get there. I'm going to close with this. I was sued by this lady, Miss Aderam, because she thinks I fired her. I wish I had that authority and power. Okay? She claims that what she calls defamatory statements, meaning she is the one that resulted in many people being destroyed in the military, to include resulting in deaths of family members and military service members. She claims that me calling it out in hyperbolic, spicy language is defamatory. Well, guess what? It's true. That's a defense. Number 2, we have, sorry about that. She thinks that somehow I guessed that she worked at the CIA and someone leaked it to me. She posted on her own LinkedIn that she got an SES position in the U.S. government. Announced it in December of last year. I don't know about you guys, but I think most people, when they say, I got an SES position in the U.S. government, rather than saying which element of the government it is, and when you search and don't find it anywhere, where do you think that probably is? The only place where you can't say where you're going to work. The CIA. They think we are retards. Sorry. We're about to make fools of you. And I have this liking for words that start with the letter R because of my last name. We're dealing with many retards. We want retribution. My last name's Rakeland. And how about this, Miss Terry Adiram, and your attorney that is about to be sanctioned, disbarred? You're providing me an opportunity, as you sue me, to do a little bit of my own evidentiary exposure of you and the entire cabal related to the COVID mandate. I will defend myself stating that my claims were true. And the only way that we can do that is to bring in all the witnesses of subject matter experts, Dr. McCullough, Dr. Malone's of the world, and everybody on down the list. And those that were destroyed by those policies by Miss Adiram, Carolina Stanzik, that Miss Catherine Herridge reported on. We'll bring all of them in and explain that her policies were actually, yes, DNA mutilation policies, genocidal policies, treasonous, and they require the maximum punishment. And we need the Fox News anchor to retire from faux news and actually enter this building, call on Ed Martin to be the next U.S. attorney in the District of Columbia. And oh, by the way, we're looking at you, Tom Tillis, from North Carolina. I suspect the reason why you don't want to confirm Ed Martin is because you might be doing the bidding of the former senator that you replaced, Richard Burr, who was part of the cover-up crew as the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence chairman during the whole Andrew Weissman-led, FBI-led Crossfire Hurricane op that Richard Burr likely covered up from his perch at the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. See how this all connects? Anyway, I'm watching you guys. Ann Vandersteel is now stepping up her game to watch over you guys. And we have multiple organizations that are not only going to watch over you, we're going to synchronize and mobilize the national effort at the federal, state, and local effort to guarantee justice, accountability, and retribution. Thanks, Ann.
Okay, for our final speaker before we take questions, January 6th needs to be represented. Suzanne Monk, who has spent the last 5 years of her life tracking everybody that got harmed during the J6 Fedsurrection, is here today in Washington, D.C. Thank you, Suzanne.
I'm here to let you guys know you are standing at the scene of a crime. At this point in the Biden unlawful regime, over 435 January 6 defendants had been unlawfully rounded up, denied their Fourth Amendment right to unlawful protection from unlawful search and seizure. They were being lied about by the folks down in Congress at the January 6th committee. And then they were being lied about by the prosecutors that work in this building, This crime is still ongoing today. It hasn't stopped. We have won the White House, but there has not been a peaceful transition of power in the Department of Justice. These U.S. attorneys did not resign as they usually do each term when a new president comes in. They sat in their positions and had to be fired and outed. These judges continue to defy the law and commit crimes on the bench. I stand here in this shirt, pardoned but not free. The 5 men on my back, Dan Wilson, Dylan Harrington, Edward Kelly, Taylor Toronto, Elias Castellanos. These men are incarcerated unlawfully today. They are held hostage by the weaponized part of our Justice Department. Edward Kelly literally sits entrapped twice by the FBI and by the prosecutors that work in this building. Taylor Toronto still sits under a J6 indictment right here in D.C. Dan Wilson literally sits in jail because his judge, Dabney Friedrich, has defied the Department of Justice. They have issued a motion to have the president's pardon honored and to have his J6 search-related charges dismissed. But Dabney Friedrich is denying that and has kept him unlawfully in jail. That is a violation of the Constitution. That is a violation of the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 8th Amendments. Again and again, that is what has happened in this building and continues to happen. So the solution needs to be accountability. This is why I am so proud to stand with these ladies at the Department of Accountability, because we don't need to sit and tolerate these judges that are violating their oaths. We need to perp walk them. We need to arrest these criminals on the bench that continue to violate our Constitution, violate their oaths, and violate the will of the American people. Now you can see how much I've read this Constitution. It's been read a lot. And I read it again just today, just to make sure that nowhere in this Constitution does it say that a judge has power over the President of the United States and the will of the American people. So we, the people, are here to put you on notice. Your crimes will come to an end. We were able to fight for justice for 4 years and get January 6ers pardoned. The deep state didn't want it. The DOJ didn't want it. They're still fighting us now. But we, the people, made it happen, and we will do it again and again and again. And my message directly to President Trump, sir, you've got backup. You've got backup. But our loyalty extends to the mission, the agenda, the America First policies we elected you to enact. And we will hold you and all of your appointees accountable to what we, the people, voted for. MAGA, America, you work for us, sir. And we're happy to have you. But we're going to get the job done together. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Suzanne. And finally, from an organization that has traveled across the country and actually met with the team at Doge, Billy Powers. Folks, I almost didn't get time to come up here today, but just like March 7th, when I found my ranch burned to the ground, due to a man on my title who's a Ukrainian Slovakian, ties to Putin, he got on the wrong woman's tile. I'll tell you that right now. We came here to represent CPS, probate, land grabs, and what we brought to Doge cannot be forgotten. Pam Bondi, we remember you from Florida when we brought you proof that Kamala Harris and Obama entered into our country a software system that was the platform to steal everything we own. We have whistleblowers, thousands of victims, thousands of whistleblowers across this country that I stand here representing today. Our bus broke down, my house burnt down, but we came from Orange County. We've met with mayors across the country. We've met with governors. And governors, I'm shouting out to you. Northwest Ordinance of 1787 gives you the duty to give us commissioners in every state, not judges, not courtrooms. Duty to give us commissioners to oversee our land records. And what we have found as a team of whistleblowers is this software system ties our land records into our children, into our parents, into guardianship. They are stealing everything because you say, how the hell is President Trump being prosecuted? Because 3 weeks ago, we delivered to the FBI what he's really being prosecuted for. You want to know what it is? Child molestation. It's a scene behind the scenes that this software system creates criminals out of. When you have parents, when you have fathers
who have gone into homes and said, my mother should not be here. You are stripping our family of every bit of our equity. You are killing our parents through drugs. You are killing our children who are taken into CPS because they have diseases that are worth millions of dollars through the cropping of their blood. We have Katie Johnson, out in Indiana, who's almost serving 20 years right now being criminally indicted because she was said to have been making up her daughter's illness. Well, the doctors who did studies on her found she was sick. She has a disease that's very, very rare. So guess what that means to CPS in the States? Millions of dollars. So we come before you. I don't give a damn who's in office anywhere right now because what we just delivered to Doge takes care of all of it. You don't have to worry about getting Pam Bondi out of office because if it tracks back to her being a little octopus that leads around this world and up to every Department of Defense in every country and every corner, she too will go to prison, which may be why she didn't want to help us in Florida. Pam, you got a lot to come forward to. But I'm going to tell you right now, when the government subverts our remedy, we the people have a right to bring it. And we brought it from Orange County, California to Washington, D.C., and we have met with those twice. We have given them the remedy, and it's hundreds of thousands and trillions, hundreds of trillions of dollars in fines and fees and lifetimes in prison for anyone who's touched a document that has been recorded on a land record or a record of any court in this country that has harmed one little hair on the head of a good American. And what that money gets collected for doesn't cost our government, doesn't cost a municipality, doesn't cost anything to these politicians. What it does cost them is accountability that they're not going to get the way it's happening right now. We came across country as good old boys and girls. I've been SWAT teamed. Everything I own was stolen. This man back here, Roger Hillegas, he was arrested for kidnapping his mother out of a home where she didn't need to be. How does that happen in America? Well, we showed him the software system that makes it happen. What you see on the surface. Excuse me. I also have had a couple of strokes, so I have a problem with my spit, and I'm spitting all over. What we have brought is the solution. We, the people, have brought the solution. Doge has it in their hands. The Supreme Court has it in their hands. The DOJ has it in their hands. And the FBI has it in their hands. And the foundation of this document, called the Petition of Remonstrance, that two of the people who wrote it are currently dead, one of them murdered. Thank you, Lori Cole, Chris Hallett, Val Mafe, you're still alive and with us. This document is a historical document. It has not happened in over 200 years. This document is in 40 state Congress, in U.S. Congress, in 600 offices and departments of this government. That document is a petition of remonstrance. Remember back when in the days you read everything was a petition of marriage, a petition of rights? Well, we the people brought the petition of remonstrance over 8 years, over entire counties, over entire municipalities. And we have brought the remedy, and we've done it the way our founding fathers said we had to do it. And I am a proud cousin and descendant of George Washington and the two only sisters that were the first women to vote in this country. And I am standing here in my bloodline to tell you we are all related, we are all the people, and these women back here I support completely because this is we the people. This is the first time in this country that all the groups have come together. I thank you. I thank President Trump because I believe you're going to do what you told us you're going to do. You're weeding it out. We're planting the seeds and the flowers are growing. We the people are here with a remedy. Thank you.
And that concludes our press conference for American Made Action today. Please go to AmericanMadeAction.org. We actually have on a pop-up a notice that we're asking the people to sign. We want to defund Title IV-E funding for Child Protective Services, and we believe with enough notices we can get their attention, and they're going to do what we're asking them to do. It's time to stop the criminal enterprise that usurps your constitutionally protected rights and dissolve Child Protective Services. There are other solutions, and we're talking with those organizations who are coming in at the community level to provide supports to families in crisis. Again, my name is Ann Vandersteel, and my co-founder, Maureen Steele. We're open to any questions.
Sir, you look like you have a question. Did you hear that?
We couldn't hear your question, sir. About FOIA? Yeah.
So the question was about FOIA and getting information for government accountability. So for those that don't know, FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, is a law that allows for citizens to go ahead and request internal deliberative documents of governmental agencies in the executive branch only. Not the legislative branch, not the judiciary. So which begs the question, how do we get information about the January 6th Fedsurrection? You FOIA executive branch entities upon which maybe, just maybe, elements of the U.S. Capitol Police and the legislative branch communicated with to get the executive branch side of that. So just think about that as you formulate your strategies. And guess who is the adult in the room at exposing January 6th via the FOIA process? Drum roll, Tom Fitton. See how this works? And that's the method and mechanism that he uses. Because you can't pierce that veil of secrecy via FOIA with the Capitol. Sir!
Someone illegally comes to the country, he's already a criminal. How do they actually make a case that the person never did a crime before he breaks the law coming to the country?
You said legally coming.
I think I understood the question is, if somebody enters the country already have committed a crime,
Coming here illegally.
So
how do they
come up closer, don't be shy. We love everybody.
I'm not shy. I love all you too. But I'm not shy. I'm a Republican. I'm a conservative Republican.
Okay.
Forever.
Excellent.
Grew up in Louisiana.
Let me shake your hand before we start.
Grew up in Louisiana, Baton Rouge, which is her farm burnt down. I can feel the pain that she's talking about. But I was saying that when you break the law to come in this country illegally, you're already illegal. Like you're already committed a crime. How do they try to turn it around as if the person never committed a crime? Like they're a good father or whatever they put it to them.
Excellent question. The question I'll recap. How is it not criminal to enter the country illegally? Why is there no consequence for that? Well, it's because you have traitors in the entire system that are facilitating the entry of these illegal, criminal behaving humans from wherever they are, non-U.S. citizens. They come in here and are protected at the highest levels so that their humanity can be tallied and associated with a ballot that is then voted for them to then rig elections. That's pretty much my assessment.
Yeah, because
But the other reason is that we got Miss Bondi. Has she done anything about that? She hasn't, but luckily we got Tom Homan that has. And Stephen Miller. So there are a few gems in this administration, but there are not so many, or I should say there are many more not so gems.
Well, I just wanted to simplify that very simply. The judges are violating the law. They are committing crimes and not enforcing the law. They need to be prosecuted for the crimes they are committing on the bench.
And also the second question is, does anybody calculate how much Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, things been spent on them, legal fees and everything for illegal aliens coming here? Because thousands came over when Sleepy Joe was in power. Is anybody calculating how much money?
Doge is currently running those calculations right now, but it's in the billions.
It's gotta be.
When they come across the border, immediately they get $2,200 a month. I'd like to ask how many people on Social Security are getting $2,200 a month. How about our veterans getting $2,200 a month? And that's just for starters. They get more in other cities and for other reasons. It's totally unconstitutional. Joe Biden ignored Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution. He did not send the military to stop the foreign invasion. And I'd like to bring out to your attention, neither did any of the 50 governors stand on Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3, when the state had the right to repel a foreign invasion. When these governors moved these illegals into other states for a photo op, they broke the law. They broke the law. We are the government, we the people. We the people.
What are we doing about the sanctuary? Like, what are we doing about these sanctuary states that seem to be, because when you break the law coming here, ain't there part of the crime where they allow them to come into the country? It's almost like me having a house and a person broke the law and I hide in my house. What are we doing about sanctuary cities also?
We're governed territories.
Sorry.
Criminal safe havens. Is what they should be called.
Exactly. So what the United Law Coalition is going to be doing is we're going to be going after all of these governors. We're going to be picking them off one by one. Anyone who left their borders wide open for the people of that state that count on sovereignty of their state. We counted on our federal government to maintain the sovereignty of our nation. You don't have a nation without borders. We're going to be going after them legally. You know, I think this is the first time in our history that we've had a law coalition like this. We've had 2 judges actually leave retirement to help craft strategy. You know, I've been milling with some of the people today, and one of the consistent messages that we hear all the time is, nothing's going to happen. You know, this has been going on for so long, there's going to be no punishment, I'll believe it when I see it. But that's the attitude of the American people now. We accept lawlessness. We accept that our Constitution is going to get trampled on. And what we're here to tell you today is, you have to accept that no longer. The cavalry has arrived. It is the United Law Coalition. It is the Department of Government Accountability. And these people will be held to account. We're targeting certain states initially. We're grabbing the low-hanging fruit, and we're going to make examples of them. And we're also going to protect our children first, but we will get to everybody. The United Law Coalition is growing. We have 1,000 lawyers right now, along with paralegals and common law experts. We will be coming for everyone. Everyone who committed a crime, who warred against our Constitution, who violated our borders. I don't care if you were down, you know, working for Catholic Charities on the border, handing out water. You committed treason against the United States of America, and you will be held to account.
Thank you. Sorry for all the questions. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I have a question. So we've done a lot of election integrity work in Virginia, and no one seems to want to touch Virginia. We tried to get competent legal counsel. No one really knows the court system to be in the correct court and get standing, right? We've seen no cases get standing. So can you speak to a strategy that you might be developing about getting lawyers involved, bringing the cases to the right court and the right information to expose what's going on underneath the election?
So one of the problems that lawyers across the country are running into, and so many people like you that are trying to get legal counsel, and every lawyer you go to says, no, I don't have time, or I'm not taking that case. One of the reasons is, and I've spoken to a lot of lawyers, I'm a paralegal by trade, is that they get run out of town on a rail. That's really the bottom line, is the bar goes after them. The bar is one of the most corrupt institutions out there. It is a crime syndicate. We'll get them eventually too. And so, you know, the lawyers, you know, they spent a lot of money to go to law school, and they want to practice law, and when you think you're going to lose your license to practice law, you know, they forego the case. I know plenty of lawyers, some that were practicing in Arizona that were, you know, they believed in the Constitution. They saw that the courts were acting illegally and unlawfully, and they were defending people, and they got They got threatened with disbarment and they had to leave the state. They went to Ohio. You know, they moved out because they had no choice. So this is what we're up against, and this is why what we've put together with the United Law Coalition is just so incredible. These are some of those brave lawyers out there. These are constitutionalists. These are people that are tired of watching our country crumble right before our eyes and the rule of law be trampled upon. This is going to stop. It's going to cease, and it's going to cease very quickly because, like I said in my speech, this is going to be a wave that goes right across the country. So I ask now, any lawyers, any paralegals, any common law experts that want to roll up their sleeves and start fighting the good fight here, you know, we welcome you. There's plenty of cases. I mean, where do we even start? We're starting with CPS, but where we have other lawyers that are siloed for J6 and for all of these different, you know, areas that we've all watched over the last 5 years as our country is literally turned into, you know, become tyrannical is really what it is.
One last comment. I have the neutron bomb for that strategy. We'll talk later.
Certainly, thank you.
To summarize in my own street vernacular, bottom line is that you have toxic, feckless, stone-cold, coward, gutless, simp, turds. And by the way, everything I said up here is in my personal, private capacity as as just a private citizen, Ivan Raiklin, okay? These cowards don't want to go up against the corruption and tyranny of institutions like the one over here. It's called the Department of Just Us. And I get it, there's some elements in here that are trying to root that out, but like when 100% of the institution is pure rotten corruption, I get there's some time that is needed, but there are ways in order as a strong leader to clean house. I would rather have nothing in here than someone in there that takes away our rights, right? So we should start with a clean slate. Here's my suggestion. How about, Ms. Bondi, you go ahead and put an internal order, and this should go throughout the entire U.S. government. If you're unvaccinated with the CCP19 injection, you can come into work. All right? 2 can play this game. Number 2, if you got the jab, then you need to write up a sworn affidavit explaining the circumstances upon which you are coerced into the jab. And then you can come to work. And that will be the evidence necessary for groups like us to then make the necessary requisite criminal referrals for all the people and all of these institutions, DOJ, FBI, the intel community, Department of Defense, etc., throughout the whole government that illegally mandated something that they couldn't. And they're the same ones that are aligned with all the unconstitutional values and principles that they're trying to destroy the constitutional order. That's how we quickly remove them. That's one idea. But no one has that courage.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to know where things are at on assigning a special prosecutor for the J6 cases. We believe there's a strong case for that under 28 CFR 600.1. So I just wanted to know where we're at on assigning special prosecutors.
Suzanne, you want to take this question?
I'll come talk about that. Yeah, and I'm going to have Ivan talk a little bit about this as well. We're in a battle with the Department of Justice because for some reason, though we have ongoing legal issues, we are not getting the kind of attention that we need. And so what I know these ladies are here to do, as well as many of us activists, we continue to push, continue to pressure for action in the Department of Justice. You might have saw 2 judges arrested just the other week for violating immigration laws and harboring criminal aliens. We see that as a symbol that the pressure is working. We see those arrest placards on the White House lawn. We see that as the pressure is working. But until those arrest placards have the folks who violated our Constitution and rounded up American citizens in a political regime witch hunt, we're not done. So we, the people, have got to continue to issue pressure. We can't be patient, because the question that Adam is asking is, Why has what we voted for not yet happened? And the reason will always be, we, the people, must demand it. So, Ivan, will you speak a little bit about what Tom's doing?
These are great questions. Things that I was wanting to say, but didn't have the ability to at the time that I spoke. All right, so the question basically, for those that don't know, didn't hear it, that are watching in, is a special prosecutor, what's the current status of a potential special prosecutor that is going to, I'm going to use my terms, create maximum retribution for those that unlawfully went after every single J6er, to include President Trump, okay? To include President Trump. Well, Tom Fitton recommended yesterday on Steve Bannon's show basically creating a special prosecutor or President Trump himself as the senior law enforcement official of the United States of America to go ahead and spend a little bit more attention and time to make sure that accountability and justice is actually done. Because so far, the mandate was for accountability, for justice, for retribution, to stop it. It's not happening yet. These low-level, we're going to arrest a local-level petty vandal of a Tesla vehicle, and we're going to claim victory up here, like we're doing right here in a press conference, by the Attorney General of the United States. That is pathetic. That's not a crime or an issue that this Department of Justice should be even concerned with minimally. Top of the priority must be everybody over the last 10 years at this point that has been involved in the destruction of our constitutional order that culminated in the illegal joint session certification on January 6th of 2021, of which those that were there and in D.C., many of us, I'm proud to have been in D.C. If you weren't in D.C., you better have a good reason for not being in D.C. to stop that illegal behavior. But bottom line, to get to your question, I don't think that currently there is a will to do that, as I explained. The Speaker of the House, his former general counsel that I mentioned earlier, Ashley Callum, she was head of the head counsel, I believe, at the Oversight Committee with Jim Comer, the Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan. She has all the goods and relationships and sources to be able to monitor and then block anything that is attempted from Loudermilk and his attempts to create a committee, as was, there hasn't been any discussion over the last several months publicly, right? That committee is moving. So as an analyst, it begs the question, what is the reason, Mike Johnson? President Trump, Mike Johnson is refusing to investigate the singular most important issue that is under his jurisdiction, sir. He is snubbing you. Like, in your face, President Trump. Mike Johnson is basically giving you the proverbial 4 middle fingers and says, no, I'm not going to do anything that allowed us to usher in a majority House, that allowed us to usher in a majority Republican Senate and the White House. Mike Johnson is giving the middle finger to America in the totality by not allowing the furtherance of the investigation into the Fedsurrection of January 6th. But guess what, Mike? I will get to the bottom of it with millions of my closest friends.
Amen. Yes, sir.
Hopefully that answers your question.
Anybody else? We've got another show, our radio show. We've got an interview we've got to get to. Want to thank you so much for coming out today. Please visit AmericanMadeAction.org. Sign our notice to defund Child Protective Services. This is a team unlike any other, but this is history repeating itself, folks. This is what we are destined and ordained to do. We the people are the Department of Government Accountability, and our United Law Coalition will use the administrative and statutory laws to go after the very people who weaponize the administration and the statutory laws against us, while we the people, the Department of Government Accountability, will use common law, notices, and affidavits. And we will come together from both sides of the lawful and legal spectrum to end the corruption and to set our people free. I'm Ann Vandersteel, my co-founder Maureen Steele. We thank you so much for attending today. And thank you to the DOJ for the opportunity to be on their steps today and present this to you.
Got to give credit where credit's due. They let us here.
That's right.
Can I get some contact information?
Thank you, Patriots.
It's all right.
We'll see you next time.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to. This is Elena Gibson. This is one of my dear friends.
Oh, Patriots, thank you so much.
She is a person that I actually